Lesson 3-3 is all about savings accounts. So the last one we talked about checking accounts. Not only do banks offer you ways to put money in and be able to spend it, but they also offer you ways to save it. So savings accounts is one of the more basic ways. So here we go, what we're going to talk about with savings accounts. We're going to learn basic vocabulary of savings accounts and compute simple interest using the simple interest formula. Our key terms, as always, the first one is savings account. This is an account in which a bank pays interest. Interest is paid by the bank for use of the money deposited into the account. That money doesn't just sit there. The bank actually uses your own money that you put in there to pay out loans to people. So even though you put money in there, it's not necessarily your money right now. The bank uses that, like I said, to pay out loans to other customers. The next one is interest rate. This is the percentage rate that is paid by a bank on money that is in some accounts. The principal, this is the balance or the amount of money in an account or amount that you borrow, so it's what you start with. Simple interest is interest that is calculated on the principal in an account using the formula, which looks like this. I equals PRT, where I stands for interest, P stands for principal, R is your rate, and T is time, and it's always in years. Statement savings. This is a savings account where you receive a monthly statement showing all activity, including deposits, withdrawals, interest earned, and any fees. The minimum balance. This is a certain amount of money that must be kept in an account as required by certain banks. A money market account, not as popular, but it has usually a higher interest rate, but at the same time requires a greater initial deposit, so requires you to start with more money in the account and requires you to maintain a greater minimum balance, which it requires you to keep more money in there all the time. And they usually limit the number of transactions that you can do per month, whereas a savings account doesn't have a limit as far as what you can put in or take out of that account. A certificate of deposit, or a CD, this is a certificate that states that you have a specific sum on deposit and guarantees the payment of a fixed interest rate until maturity. Maturity is a specific date at which interest is paid on the CD, and after that maturity date you don't earn any more money on that. Sometimes the CD will give you a little booklet for you to keep track of what is in there. Once you put the money in there, though, for a CD, you can't take it out until it becomes mature. Otherwise, they charge you a penalty. Usually about half of what you have in there you have to pay. So what types of savings accounts do banks offer customers? Well, what banking services does your family use? I can't tell you this question. You actually have to ask your family what they have. Do they have savings accounts? Do they have CDs? Do they have checking accounts that earn interest? Where does the money that banks lend out for loans come from? Well, as I said, we were doing the key terms. If they lend out money for loans, that's actually coming out of, little pieces of it are coming out of your savings accounts. So the money that you put into the bank, yes, it's yours, but the bank uses that money to pay out loans. What is the value of compound interest? Well, compound interest is really nice because you actually earn interest on the account, but then that interest turns into your principal, so you're actually earning interest on the interest. And the advantages of direct deposit. I use direct deposit here for my paychecks, which means that my money goes right into my account. It's electronically transferred, so I don't have to worry about losing the check, having the check stolen, and I can earn interest on that money immediately. I don't have to wait for it. So we take a look at some of our examples. Grace wants to deposit $5,000 in a certificate of deposit for a period of 2 years. She's comparing interest rates quoted by 3 local banks and 1 online bank. Write the interest rates in ascending order and which bank pays the highest interest for this 2-year CD. Well, in order to do this, we need to first convert each fraction that's part of the percents here into decimal form. It's a lot easier to do our comparing. So I take the 4 1/4, and that becomes 4.25%, and then the 4 3/8 becomes 4.375%. So now I have all 4 of my values having decimals. Line up the decimal places and compare the numbers. So I put them in no specific order, just lined up all the decimal places, and now from here I can go and look and see which one is the least, all the way up to the greatest, which ends up being 4.22, 4.25, 4.3, and then 4.375. So there they are in ascending order, which means going up. And then they want to know which bank pays the highest interest for this 2-year CD. Well, based on our numbers, the 4.375%. So which bank was that? That would be the eSave Bank with their 4 3/8%. Your first check your understanding. Write the following 5 interest rates in descending order, which is greatest to least. And as I look at this or get ready to look at this, I believe I have it backwards, but we can fix that. So 5.510, again, I took all of my fractional pieces and turned them into decimals. So I have 5.50, 5.625, 5.099, and 5.60, which should end up being in reverse order here because they want it from greatest to least. So 6.25, 5.6, 5.510, 5.5, and 5.099. So on your paper, as you're writing these in, please put these in the reverse order. So this one here should be on top, this should be your second, third, fourth, and this one should be at the bottom. Example 2. Raul's savings account must have at least $500 or he's charged a $4 fee. His balance was $716.23 when he withdrew $225. What was his balance? Well, the first thing we need to do is take his balance of $716.23 and take out the $225, which brings us to $491.23. That value is below the minimum value of $500, so that $491.23 is less than $500. So he's going to be charged that $4 fee. So we need to subtract that $4 out of his account. And with that, we have Raul's balance in his account as $487.23 after we take out or withdraw the $225 and we pay the penalty of $4. The check your understanding. May has $891 in her account. A $7 fee is charged each month the balance is below $750. So again, same process as the other one. She withdraws $315. If she makes no deposits or withdrawals for the next X amount of months, express her balance algebraically, which means we're not going to actually have a dollar amount here. We're going to have an expression with a variable in it. So the first thing I need to do is figure out what her balance is after she withdraws the $315. So she has $576. Now she doesn't touch the account for X amount of months. She just leaves it sitting there. But they charge her $7 because she is below that $750. They charge her that $7 every month. We just don't know how many months she's going to not add money to that account. So to do that, we take the $576 and we subtract out that $7 per month for every month that she doesn't have the $750 in her account. So it becomes 576 minus 7x, and that's your answer for this problem. So we're going to get into your interest formula, your simple interest formula. You did this in 9th grade. This is, whether you remember or not, this isn't a problem. All of these problems are 9th grade, basically. So interest, this is what you earn. Principal is what you start with or what you put into the bank. The rate is the percentage, but you have to convert it to a decimal. And then the time is always in years. So example 3, Mitchell deposits $1,200 in an account and pays 4.5% simple interest. He keeps the money in the account for 3 years without any deposits or withdrawals. How much is in the account after 3 years? Well, I need this formula, I equals PRT, interest equals principal times rate times time, and I need to pull out my information. So there's my principal, there's my rate, but I must convert that to a decimal. Here is my time, we want to know after 3 years. They also want to know how much is going to be in the account after 3 years. So not only are we going to need to know what he earned on that, but we're also going to need to know the total after what he had already put into the account. So again, interest equals PRT. I take my value, so my principal, which is $1,200, my rate of 0.045, I did the conversion, and the 3 years. Multiply those values. For an interest of $162. But they want to know how much is in the account after that. So they take the principal and the interest and we add them together. And in his account now, there's $1,362 after those 3 years. They check your understanding. How much simple interest is earned on $4,000 in 3.5 years at an interest rate of 5.2%? Again, it's all coming back to this formula for all of the rest of these examples. So I pull out my principal, I pull out my rate, again it needs to be converted to a decimal, and I pull out my time, which is 3.5 years. This also needs to be converted to a decimal as well. So we fill in what we know. We know that the principal, or what we start with, is $4,000. The interest rate converted to a decimal is 0.052. And the time of 3.5 years, well, we know that a half is 0.5, so 3.5 years is 3.5. So for an interest earned of $728, excuse me. Example 4. How much simple interest does $2,000 earn in 7 months at an interest rate of 5%? Well, again, like I said, here's our formula. Pull out my principal. There's my rate. Again, must be converted. 7 months. This also must be converted to years now. There are 7 months out of 12 in 1 year for this particular problem. So go and substitute now. So my principal of 2,000 times 5%, which is 0.05, out of the 7 times 7 over 12. Do your multiplication, and you come up, when you round this, with approximately $58.33. So again, here we must do a conversion for months. Time is always in years. So if they're talking months, you're going to take the month that they give you, divide that by 12. The next problem here, check your understanding, this one is going to talk about days. So how much simple interest would $800 earn in 300 days in a non-leap year at an interest rate of 5.71%? Round to the nearest cent, so we're rounding to the nearest hundredth. So we pull out principal, we pull out our rate, we pull out our time, and again this needs to be converted to years. So there are 365 days in 1 year, so 300 out of 365. And just start filling in again. 800 times 0.0571 times 300 over 65 for an interest earned of $37.55. And again, I already rounded here for you. These examples are going to become very repetitive. Same formula, just different values that we're going to be plugging in. So how much principal must be deposited to earn $1,000 in simple interest in 2 years at a rate of 5%? This one's a little bit different because they tell us what the interest that we're going to earn is. They don't tell us what the principal is. They tell us the rate of 5% and for how long after 2 years. So again, same formula, fill it in, but this time it's going to be 1,000 equals P times 0.05 times 2. So when we do our multiplication, or as much as we can, we end up with 0.1P equals 1,000. In order to solve this, I need to get the P by itself. Because multiplication is going on, we know that the inverse operation is division, so I need to divide both sides by 0.1. So the principal amount that I would have needed to start with would be $10,000 in order to earn $1,000 over 2 years at a 5% interest rate. Check your understanding. How much principal must be deposited in a 2-year simple interest account that pays 3.25% interest to earn $300 in interest? Okay, so they tell us that we want to earn $300 in interest. We're trying to find the principal. We know that our interest rate is 3.25%, which I'm going to have to convert to a decimal. And then they tell us the time is 2 years. So 300 equals the principal times 0.0325 for the interest rate and for 2 years. So multiply those values and I have 300 equals 0.065p. Divide both sides by 0.065 and I end up with $4,615.38. That's how much I need to start with in order to earn $300. Example 6. Derek has a bank account that pays 4.1% simple interest. The balance is $910. When will the account grow to $1,000? So with this, again, same formula. They tell us the principal. When will the account grow to $1,000? So what we're going to end up with in our account. The rate is 4.1%. When? So we're looking for the time factor here. And we know that the balance right now is $910. So the interest is going to be $90. They didn't tell us that, so we actually had to do this extra step of calculating the interest. We take the principal, which is what we're essentially going to end up with, and when will it make $90? So to do this, again, fill in what you know. The 90 equals 1,000 times 0.041 times time. So I end up with 90 equals 41t. Divide both sides by 41. And I end up with 2.2 equals t, or 2.2 years. But I need to convert that. So there are 12 months in a year times 2.2 gets me 27 months. So after about 27 months, which is a little bit more accurate than 2.2 years, he will have the $1,000 that he needs. So to check your understanding, how long will it take $10,000 to double at 11% simple interest? So we know that our principal is what we're starting with is $10,000. We know that the rate is 11%, which will be converted to a decimal. How long we're looking for the time. And in this case, doubling the principal means earning the same amount in interest. So I need to earn $10,000 in interest. So 10,000 equals 10,000 times 0.11 times t for a value of 1,100 t equals 10,000. Divide both sides to get the t by itself. So I end up with approximately 9 years. It's a little bit over 9 years, but not enough for me to have to round it up to 10. And example 7. Carrie invests $5,000 in a simple interest account for 5 years. What interest rate must the account pay? So there is $6,000 at the end of 5 years. So we're pulling out our information. So she invests, or what she starts with is your principal, $5,000. The rate is what we're looking for because it says what interest rate. We know that it's going to be in there for 5 years. So to figure out the interest that she would have earned on this, we take the 6,000 minus the 5,000, which is 1,000. So that's the interest that she's going to earn. So interest equals PRT. So we have 1,000 equals 5,000 times R times 5, which when we do our calculations works out to be 25,000 R equals 1,000. Divide both sides by 25,000. R equals 0.04, but when I do that, I have to convert that to a decimal because they're asking us for the interest rate. So that 0.04 is not the rate. So we have to multiply that by 100 and we get 4%. And then example 7, check your understanding. Marcos deposited $500 into a 2.5-year simple interest account. He wants to earn $200 interest. What rate must the account pay? So the interest, he wants to earn $200 in interest. He started with $500. We're going to calculate the interest rate, and it was in there for 2.5 years. So 200 equals 500 times R times 2.5, which becomes 200 equals 1,250 R. When I divide both sides by 1250, my rate is 0.16, and again, I can't leave it like that. I need to convert it to a decimal, so I move it 2 places to the right for 16%.